Attributes like the href attribute on a link or the action attribute on a form exist as properties of an element object. You can get or set them in a similar way we saw with the text in the previous lecture. Let's look at an example. To code along with me, first download the course folder from the link in the description below and open it with your favorite code editor. Here I'm using Visual Studio Code. From the course folder, open the exercise folder called JavaScript DOM. And then open the index.html file in the browser. Here I also open the JavaScript console. In the index.html file, remember to link app.js file. Now let's look at the index.html and find an attribute to access. So our input element has a type attribute of text. Let's try to read that value in the console. Now the variable input was defined earlier in the app.js file, so it will be accessible here in the console. It refers to the text input element. And if we type it here, we can access its type attribute as a property. So in the console, I'll type input dot type. I'll press enter and we get the string text. Next, let's try to get its class name. Now classes are an exception among attributes. To get the class, you'll need to use the class name property. So if I type input dot class name, I'll press enter. You see that it returns description. And we can also update the input's type attribute. So let's set it to checkbox to see what happens by typing input dot type assignment operator and the string checkbox. I'll press enter. You see that now the input field became checkbox. Now let's go ahead and reload the page to bring things back to normal. So next, let's add a line to app.js to update the title attribute of the description paragraph. So right below the button's event listener, let's update the paragraph element's title attribute to list description. So I'll type p dot title assignment operator and the string list description. I'll save the change, refresh the page, and if I mouse over the description paragraph, you see that a tooltip appears and says list description. That means the title attribute has been set successfully. And we could also see it by clicking the Elements tab and checking the title attribute value of the description paragraph. So here we can see that the title attribute and the value list description was added to the second paragraph. Good. Now, normally a title like this would be better set in the HTML and not necessarily by a line of JavaScript, but I just want to show you that something like this is possible. Now I'll flip back to app.js and delete that line of code. Finally, I just want to mention one thing that might be easy to forget. If you want to get or set an elements class, the class property won't work. So use the class name instead. Okay, so up next, we'll have a look at a special property, the element style property.